Welcome to another day. Whereas ours started out with a bit of a bang, or what I should say, a whimper. Yeah, I'm not really sure what's going on, but one of my amps just took a crap. Yeah, it's got power, it's got this, it's got that. The fuse is fine. It just don't turn on. And I even jumped the remote wire and all that good stuff, and it still don't turn on. So after 25 years, maybe, I guess, I don't know. It's been in 2 trucks, and this one's 17, almost 18 years old. So yeah, I think it's time for a replacement, sadly. But that's nothing I can do right now. So let's move on to our boat. Okay, our day is going to consist of steering today. Happily or sadly, depending on which way you look at it, we are running out of things to do. And I do like a good project, but there's nothing like the end of a good project. So, as I said, we're going to play with steering today, try to wrap up everything I can. From there, I'm going to go ahead and probably start getting ready for another project. But we will deal with that when we get to it. Okay, if I can grab the hood and twist it, and the steering vice grips move pretty freely too, without a lot of gap and shake, we're all set. So with that in mind, I can remove my steering vice grips. Cables are all in, everything's good to go. We've already got it tied into the transom shield, and everything is 100% tightened down, ready to rock and roll. And in the process of doing that, you know, I'm thinking, got this whole dashboard almost done. I mean, I do have some minor things. I got to get a steering wheel. I am in the process of dealing with the controller. I do have most of one sitting on my garage floor at the moment, and I'm going to have to look into some detail about that one tonight. I'm not even sure where it came from. I may have actually bought it for parts, and it may end up being a hole. And last but not least, I've been working on the dashboard, so I thought, you know, I better get these pieces done or they won't be done. So I need a piece here, and there's a trim piece that goes around here, and same with the other seat, and a little triangle that goes there. So when the upholstery's in, you look down this way, you don't see down between the seats, you just see a little wooden block there. And it's also one of the places where one of the courtesy lights actually mounts to. So it's another thing that needs to get done before they show up. So I've already got out the remaining pieces of oak from the dashboard build and some other minor pieces I have laying around. And I've cut my triangles, which are kind of like not triangles, but they're close enough to just call them that. And now I'm getting ready to rip a couple 1.5 inch pieces that go around the base of the actual seat itself, and then I can stain them and get them, you know, all finished up and ready to go. As I said, the lights aren't going to be here for probably a couple weeks, so but that just means that I have them ready. One of the problems I didn't do them before is I just didn't have them ready, and I didn't want to take the time while I was in the middle of doing the dashboard. So if they're all done and just sitting on a shelf, it's all good. But the only way they're actually going to get sitting on a shelf is actually me finishing them. Alright, we got our trim pieces all cut. These are kind of a little bit special because they're going to have these little plates put on the back of them so they can attach through that side like so. But that's later on. Right now I need to clean up some mess here and call it a night. It's getting a little dark, so there ain't no reason to really continue on and on and on. There's no pressing need for this stuff, but now that it's all cut, it's all shaped on a rainy day, like we don't have those, we can go ahead and get them finished up. There will be some modifications at the end when they get installed. I mean, the screws that are there have to be drilled out in the back and all that stuff. But I figure, you know, if I get 90% of them done, then when it's time to do the install themselves, it won't be nearly as bad. So, but like I said, I got some cleaning up to do and a boat to put away, and I will see you all tomorrow. Welcome to another day. Yeah, it's raining. You didn't think we could go 3 days without actual rain, did you? Hell, we didn't even go 2. It was raining last night about 10 o'clock after we closed up shop here. So, some of the things we were playing with yesterday in case it rains is probably things we'll be playing with today. One of them is this controller. As you see, I have it in a multitude of pieces. It is a little rough. We have I don't know what happened to this here, but something paint will clean up, no problem. And the rest of the pieces seem to be here, but they are in a little bit of not the greatest shape. Like my switch here, actually the rubber is falling apart. And I don't have the cover that goes right there, and I don't have one right there. And I looked up U-Flex last night. I guess that's the way it is, U-Flex something. But I looked up U-Flex last night, and yeah, I don't see where you can buy any parts for these things, even though they still sell them like every day. So I'm not sure. I'm going to have to do a little more research. But I am encouraged. I gotta say, for a piece that I bought for parts, I think I bought it just to get the trim switch out of it. Yeah, sitting on a shelf. It's a $250 item that I don't have to buy. So yeah, a little more research, a little more tinkering today, and we're going to see if we can actually get this guy fixed up. Pretty sure I've got all the parts. If not, they sell kits to actually do that. They just don't sell kits to actually replace the trim switch and the plate and the little rubber boot. So yeah, more research on that. And I guess today I'll be staining up my pieces, sanding and staining up them, and figuring out anything else I can do. So there is bigger projects, but there's nothing I really can do at the moment, because it's not ready. You know, the motor's not ready to set in. So I wouldn't know where the exhaust sits, because I don't even have motor mounts, as I said the other day. So yeah, that's something I planned on doing much later. This is coming together real fast, and the weather's holding out for us, so we're just going to keep plugging away until there's snow on the ground. But for now, that's being that there's a whole bunch of water on the ground and on everything else, I'm going to go play in the garage. Well, I don't think it's really made up its mind whether it wants to rain or not today, but it's not at the moment. Actually, them clouds over there look pretty freaking weird. But we are working on our control box. What I need to do now is something I've been dreading since looking at it. It's actually cut a nice big chunk out of the side of the boat. It's all part of what happens. I mean, that piece basically sits flush with the actual outside of this fiberglass. And it's all of it's behind it. All has to be cleared away. So next thing is the upholstery goes over top of it, and then it only gets a small 4-inch hole through it, about yay big, which you will never be able to relate to with my finger shoved in front of the lens, but take my word for it. You only have that one part that actually sticks through the upholstery. And that's why I wanted to use these. These setups are not made to be like this. Most of the Allmands I've dealt with all have it in the dashboard. And the problem with the dashboard is you're sitting in this seat right here, right down here, and you're holding the steering wheel as I drop bolts. And when you are going like blasting, I mean, I don't just push the throttle and walk away like this is a cruise ship. I mean, my hand is on the throttle if this thing is in gear, and most of the time when it's not. So you end up leaning forward the whole time while you're holding it, putting your head real close to the steering wheel and the front windshield. I'd much rather be leaning back towards me, Al, where I'm at, Al, behind the camera, than actually leaning into the dashboard and into the windshield. As I said, And you do a little bit of that when you're going over waves. You know, you ride a boat like you ride a horse. You know, a little bit forward, but not where you're leaning way forward. And if your hand comes off the throttle, you're going over top of the dashboard and also smashing your face into the steering wheel. So it's much nicer to have them over here. But the problem is the boat was never designed to have a throttle on the side like that. So it's just one of my tricks. You know, I mean, it's a little bit of modification. I'm not really big on what you have to do to the boat to make it work. But it doesn't seem to hurt it any. I mean, mine's been done for 10, 12 years now, and I've never seen any ill effects about, you know, spider cracking or anything like that there. It's never been an issue, so. But it has to be done. And I have the tools all sitting right here. And we'll be back shortly with a hole in our side of our boat. Alright, enough of that. Thought I'd try some of that theatric bullshit that they try on a lot of these YouTube channels. Yeah, come and check out my drag racing team. But first, watch me make a tomato sandwich. I don't get it. But I take it they're all just film students with a hobby of like drag racing or something. We've gone ahead, got our cutout done. Yeah, it looks a little monstrous. But when you actually look at the controller itself, now it's basically just a giant plate. So it's removing of the fiberglass and the wood that's behind it, and a steel plate will go across it. So it won't be as strong as it was, but the 4 points will actually hold it together, and it was already good to go as it was. As I said, mine's been cut out for years and years and years, and I've never so much as seen even a stress crack or anything in this area. I'm good with that, but as you can see, it's getting late because the rabbit just ran into the woods, and I'm about to run into the garage. So, but we've got our cutout done, and next, I guess tonight, I'm going to have to continue on the hunt for, I don't know, I guess they have to like support these. I mean, they still sell them, for God's sakes. But I haven't been able to find anything besides an install kit, which is kind of common. That's just a couple pieces for the back that actually puts the cables to it. That's it for now. We will continue the saga when we have more information and more daylight. See ya. Welcome to another day where we're full of shit. Literally, not trying to discuss it, gross you out or anything. We just came to the conclusion that our main tank has not been emptied in 13 years. We've actually had them out here to empty the tank, and they dug up this one over here. Well, that's the gray water side of our main tank. They never actually dug up this side. And now we're digging up this side, and we have to empty it. But I'm going to let this man get to his job, and I'm going to go play with something in the garage as soon as I can. Well, our shit's all covered up. Time to move on to something else. Alright, now that we're done with that shit, let's move on to the garage of disappointment here. What I mean by that is I spent, an hour on the phone this morning with Uflex. They import these guys from Italy, one piece. They have nothing in stock in Florida. Nothing. Nothing, nothing, nothing. And I was like, well, how about if I contact Italy, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, no. No pieces are available. I mean, that's amazing. I mean, you can't even replace the trim switch. It's an aftermarket switch. They don't even sell it. Even though they sell the stupid friggin' controller. I don't even know how to put words to that. I mean, how do you sell something currently and not support it? I mean, they had to have returns or whatever. I'm extremely just totally disappointed in Uflex. Bennett trim tabs, they are not. I'll tell you that much. Bennett was like, hey, yeah, we'll just send you everything. We'll just send you a whole new one. Just send that one back. No. These guys, I found all the rest of the parts for it too, which was amazing. I mean, all the cabling, I have some cables out here and such. That's another story I'll get to in a second. But I found every end, every piece that was needed to put these together, except for that cap and the part that actually holds this in, which is the trim switch right here. And I needed this little rubber boot also because it's got a hole in it and it's supposed to have a little nub there. I mean, these are like minor parts you could put in an envelope, okay? And yet, no. So, guess what I had to do last night? Buy a brand new one of these. Yeah, $250 is a bit of a friggin' swallow. So, alright, that's aside. I have to pack all this up and off it goes onto a shelf again in case I need a part, because I apparently am the only one that has parts for these now. On to the next thing. I got an assortment of cables from 21 feet all the way down to 12 feet. I got about 6 of them. I don't have one, it's the right size. This one Merc cable is close, but that is a extremely backup cable, meaning that it's just here in case something goes wrong. It's a weekend and I can't get one until later next week, you know, that kind of thing. It would work. It's tight. It's just, you know, it's old and it's tight, and so I don't have either cable either, just in a long story short. So that's disappointing. So it will go up on the wall with the other ones. Yay. So I'm working on some other things. Like these little brackets here are actually, I'll show you when I actually install them. I also have some minor other things around. I actually just got the horn switch in that I can go in. And one last thing I actually do have, which is kind of a big moment. I mean, it should be like ceremonially splashed with champagne or something. Putting the original John Allmand tag back in the boat. At the moment, it has no ID numbers on it at all. You know, it was made in '72, so that was before they actually put the, you know, the ID numbers in the transom and elsewhere. So that's the only ID that goes with the boat, being it doesn't even have the real tags on it. So I thought I'd put that back in today just to get it off my desk. It's a little rough looking, but you know what? There is no cleaning it. I actually tried it a little bit yesterday with just washing it off, and it was kind of like, oh no, it's falling apart here. So I'm just going to stick it back up underneath the dash in a nice safe place, out of the way, and yeah, that'll be good to go. Which is it's a milestone. I mean, that got taken out when we started ripping the transom out. It was actually mounted right here on the inside, so yeah, it's been a long time. It's been kicking around on my desk, or my bench. So, as I said, I got a lot of cleaning up to do, and I got a lot of this to do, and a lot of disappointment to put away, and, you know, all that good stuff. But minor things, man. I'm just going to have to work on minor things, because sadly, it's some of these projects. Like I said, $250, probably $25 a cable. By the time it's all said and done, $300. It'll probably take me about 30 minutes to install it. You know, I mean, I'm not getting much bang for the buck, that's for sure. So, let me get it cleaned up. Let me get some of this little stuff out of the way, and then maybe we'll get focused on a direction. I don't know, maybe I'll start working on upholstery next. Who knows? Let me take this opportunity during this music intermission to explain what's going on. Okay, it's been an uneventful day, but at the same time, it's been productive. And what you've been looking at is the dashboard. It is in as for what has to be done to the boat before it actually gets installed, except for the fact that when I take it off, I am going to have to drill the holes out that are behind these a little more, meaning the next bit up, basically. That just gives it a little room. Trust me, when you actually put the upholstery on and start twisting this thing around, it's going to be a little bit different shape than when I took it out. But I'll do that in a moment. While we are at it, we might as well show you that the horn button is in. Beep, 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 beep. It goes nowhere. Just to a wire, and actually that wire loom goes right down in that box. But I just don't know what to do about cutting a hole in a deck, so I mean, the hidden horns are the hidden horns. I think maybe we just put a really loud horn underneath the deck. Maybe that'll work. I don't know yet. Also, I've gone ahead and strengthened my cutout for my new future new controller. Just as you saw when I was doing it, basically I have aluminum pieces, I cut them out, and now they go from here, which you can kind of see the back side of that one, and they go from here back to here, so they spread the load further out. Like this one goes to here, that one goes to there, and with this aluminum actually goes through it, you know, it actually spreads that load from these little tiny points here, holding that controller in place. And as I said, since this is a steel plate that's probably stronger than the actual fiberglass and wood together, I mean, it's probably close, I don't know. Somebody will have to do that research, I'm not going to. But with that steel plate in place, you know, it's almost as strong. And if you can spread that load out a little bit instead of these tiny little points right here, you can make it as strong. So with my little aluminum pieces in the back here, now my load's been spread around. That, when the actual controller goes in place, should be 100% as strong as it was when the time I took it out. So, unless they use really cheap steel to build it, who knows. But last but not least, besides a whole lot of cleaning up I have to do, like I said, I still need to drill the holes in the back of the thing. We went ahead and got our Allmand tag put in. Yes, it's official. This is now a John Allmand SuperNova once again. Doesn't have the twin motors. I don't know how easily that one's going to be explained away. You know, right, twin motors. Well, what happened to the twin motors? I mean, you can have different motors, but now you got a single. It is official. The tag is in. The boat is labeled. It is what it is. It's a John Allmand SuperNova 19. And it's almost ready to go back to being what it's meant to be. See, I told you, we're going to do some upholstery today. Well, it is what it is. It had to be done, and I know it isn't like upholstery and soft and nice and colors and all that stuff, but again, without frames, you can't actually build all that soft and lovely things. A lot of little things, a lot of loose ends, things like that. We're still waiting for a lot of things to show up, so, but at the moment, it's 7:20. It's time to call it a day. See ya. Welcome to another day. It's a late start for us, but you know, hey, something every day is our philosophy. Even if it's minor or just whatever it happens to be, it keeps you in the project. Looking at our stack of stuff over here, really ain't got anything we can do at the moment. In that pile, we have a little bit of electric work left, but the pieces aren't here. You have some controllers and other things to deal with, but they are not here also. We started off with our dash pad, I guess it is, upholstery part of the dashboard. This is basically the way they did these. I've learned how to do these this way, is you put a carriage bolt in through the face, and you use that to actually attach it to the hull. Well, in this case, we did our fitting yesterday, and today we put our carriage bolts in, and we do it with a little liquid nail wrapped around the inside here, and then we smash them in by tightening the bolts down themselves with some washers behind them, and that pulls that little square right into the plywood, which locks it in place, and the glue hopefully will hold it in place until we get a nut on the back of it and can pull it into the place it actually needs to be installed in. So we've gone ahead and done that with our dashboard, and in the spirit, we decided to go back out on the back porch, which has been sitting here for months, and get the upholstery pieces that were left over. We're going to go ahead and strip these. There may be some of the wood that I can use a bit of a pattern off of. It depends on if it disintegrates or not. I mean, if it does, then we're pretty much a done deal, and we're just going to have to start over fresh. But I would really like to get at least what's left of these patterns. That way I can use it and cut them down. And plywood's expensive. I really don't want to start with a fresh 4-foot piece and have to start hacking on it. When if I have these two, I can actually maybe arrange them a little bit. You know, kind of like when I was cutting out the transom there. Arrange them on the board to where I can actually get 2 out of 1. That would be a plus. But that's it. I mean, I need to strip these down. I'm just moving things progressively forward, no matter what it is. I'll probably also work on my little trim pieces also to get them done, or at least make progress on them. I mean, I got to stain them, and then I got to give them 24 hours before I can actually poly them. So, I mean, there's something that eats up time all by itself. By the time I'm done sanding and staining, it'll be an hour or so, and then of course I have to wait 24 hours. So the total job just to put stain and poly on those guys is probably going to take 48 hours. So if it's done now, or if at least it started now, the next step can happen when it has to. So that's the game plan. It's just kind of clean up some loose ends and do what I can and fill up a day with just BS until I actually get some other parts in. At some point here though, I'm going to have to make a decision, and we may have to grab on one of these other big projects, i.e. the motor and or the motor box cover. So yeah, I know it's just going to, the weather's going to turn it like a heartbeat, and we're going to be so screwed. I won't be able to do either one of them. And when it comes to the motor, I'm just missing so many parts that it's expensive, and I really want to do that over the winter. But to take advantage of today, I'm going to do what I can, as I said, and I'm going to go ahead and start taking care of this crap and see what it leaves me. Well, I have to say, this is a bit of a surprise. When we put these on the back porch, they were like dish rags. I figured there was nothing but rotten wood underneath it here. I mean, it's twisted, it's bent, there's some broken parts. It's not staying, trust me, it's getting replaced. But it's intact. And why am I so happy about that? Well, one, it's only going to require 1 sheet of plywood, because now I actually have the patterns. Yeah, I have actual patterns. And what's the best part about these patterns is they actually have the original bolt holes. Right here, and onwards on. So I don't actually have to drill new holes in the boat. I can just follow the old bolt holes. That's a huge plus. I mean, I may even add 1 or 2. It just depends on when I hang them, the frames that I'm going to be building. I'll actually go and double check. And plus that, these are only 8 feet long because they had the double motor in the back, so everything came up short. They have to be 10 feet long. So I'm going to have to add 2 feet to them. But lucky enough, I do have a solid wall right here to do that. So I don't have to worry about it. When I put the ends together, I will be using a little bit of fiberglass to hold, you know, I want it solid. I don't need it to just be on there a floppy end, just the upholstery holding it together. But that makes life a lot easier. And, you know, this boat does that to me. As I said before, I've got a ton of money in fiberglass, I've got a ton of money in this, and extra work on everything. I mean, like I said before, we had 120 holes in the deck. I don't know many people that restore boats that have 120 holes in them. And we're only talking about the deck. We're not talking about the transom, the rear transom deck, the gunnels. It just goes on and on. So You know, it has been a trying, pushing mess sometimes. But then something like this happens. And it's like the boat almost goes, I know this is a nightmare. Let me see if I can help. That's the only impression I'm really getting, because I just get to a point like, this sucks, this sucks. I should have just not done this. And then bam. I mean, if I had a sheet of plywood right now, 30 minutes, I'd be done with the bolsters. That's a whole lot easier than when I was working on mine, trust me. And that had to be done, and then it had to be put up, and then the patterns had to be made, and then cut out, and then re-put up, then put up again. New everything drilled. Yeah, it was a real mess. But, alright, I gotta finish cutting off the bolts to this guy, and these guys. Well, actually, it's one left. And from there, it's just cleanup time, and I'm gonna work on some of my oak pieces. Well, it wasn't the biggest day we've ever had, but we progressed our interior forward quite a bit, honestly. I mean, it's a big difference from it sitting on the back porch, that's for sure. At least I know what I need, and actually I have a plan, and it's all really good so far. Of course, our dashboard, I'm going to let my bolts all set up probably overnight. Eventually, like with all the plywood that I will use on the upholstery, I will be Thompson water sealing everything. And to finish off the evening, we went ahead and stained our, I don't know, what are they called? Trim pieces of some kind, I guess. Just wood accents, maybe? Yeah, there we go. Let's use that. Sounds good and fancy. We went ahead and we stained our wood accents. And yeah, they got, I don't know, they say 24 hours at least, you know. So, I mean, we're in no big hurry. And that's the nice thing about actually having them built and ready to go. And speaking of building, we went ahead and we basically put our pieces on the back. We epoxied them to it. And then, as you can see, we shot a couple brads right through the face of it. And that should attach that on forever and ever. But that's it for the evening. I'm going to go downstairs and do some editing. Probably shove something in my face, and probably fall asleep in a chair. See ya. Intermission music. These deals won't last long. 20 ribeyes, $35. Alright, let's turn down the truckload mega meat sale. That's a little scary. But I haven't been able to find anything like, you know, puns. Everybody loves puns. Alright, we're gonna step back here. Alright, this is just bad. Stop. Oh, and something else which I can't even find at the moment. Where did you go? Where'd it go? It looks like it's crooked as a muff, because it's crooked as a muff. I'm doing this and doing that. And I even got a low battery. I must have a lot of film on here. I hope any of it's good.